guys, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's edition of Money Monday, where we get to talk about all of the money things, and I try and share some financial wisdom that I have learned over the past 2 years since my husband and I have been following Dave Ramsey's plan and straightening out our financial mess. Today we're going to talk all about baby step number 1, which is your emergency fund. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay friends, so if you have followed us for any length of time, you would know that we are following Dave Ramsey's financial plan, which includes 7 baby steps. And baby step number 1 is to save $1,000 as a starter emergency fund, a mini emergency fund you could say. Step number 2 is to pay off all of your consumer debt. And step number 3 is to build a large official emergency fund. But to get you started and to get you through paying off your debt, $1,000 is what Dave Ramsey suggests for the majority of people to have as a starter emergency fund. Now I know a lot of people have a lot of backlash with this figure and this number because they feel like it's not enough for an emergency, which that could be very, very true. For us, that would not be very much, really. Thank goodness, like, we haven't really had to use our emergency fund much in this process. We definitely haven't had an emergency that's required our entire emergency fund at once, aside from my husband's recent root canal. But other than that, things have been, we've had like smaller emergencies. But what I really want to share with you guys today and discuss is what is an actual emergency and how to define an emergency. Dave Ramsey defines an emergency that you would use your emergency fund for as being something that's unexpected and urgent. In order for us to justify using our emergency fund, it has to be both of those two things. And it's very hard sometimes to define an emergency because there are things that come up that are unexpected costs, but are those truly urgent costs that need to be paid right that second and should be paid from your emergency fund, or are they something that you can plan for and cash flow or put off a little bit and pay a little bit later? So for example, my husband's family lives about half an hour away from us, so we like to go see them on the weekends, and typically when we go, there could be costs involved as far as like needing to, going out to eat or something. Now that's an unexpected cost, but that's certainly not an emergency. There's definitely no emergency. We could definitely come home and eat here or something like that, so that's not an emergency. An emergency would be something that, again, is unexpected and urgent. So say you're driving to work and your tire blows. That is unexpected. You weren't planning for your tire to go out, and that is urgent because you need your vehicle in order to get to and from work. Another example is something that my husband and I just went through, which was his root canal. Ordinarily, and I would say probably even a year ago, we would have just used our emergency fund for that. It was something that was unexpected. He went into his like routine dental appointment. It was supposed to be just a cleaning. We're at a new dentist, so they were doing like x-rays and they were going to do an initial cleaning and all of that good stuff. And during his x-rays, they said, okay, no, you need to get a root canal today. And so that was something that was unexpected and that was very urgent. Which, side note, we'd seen, the last time we went to a dentist was about 6 months ago, and the dentist didn't mention this to him at all, and so that was kind of crazy. But yes, that cost was unexpected and urgent, so we would have used our emergency fund had we not been able to cash flow that. And speaking of cash flowing, let's talk about what cash flowing actually is, because that's a question that I have gotten a couple of times. So cash flowing is basically that you are going to just pay for something that happens unexpectedly with cash. It's basically, instead of using your emergency fund, you just add it into your budget as a line item for that month and you take care of it in that same month. So you don't have to save for it or plan for it or anything like that. You can just cash flow it rather than using your emergency fund, which is what we did in the case of my husband's root canal. So cash flowing is something that becomes possible once you have gotten a little bit further along, I feel personally, in baby step number 2. If this had happened a year ago or a year and a half ago, we would not have been able to cash flow that root canal. We would have needed our emergency fund to cover that. So there are such great benefits to having your emergency fund and to making sure that that's in place. And I know that it's so tempting to see that $1,000 sitting in your account or wherever you may have that stored and to think, I could just use this to pay off debt and we could get a little bit further ahead. But please, please, please do not do that. There is so much danger in not having a little bit of a cushion to fall back on, and even though $1,000 may not be enough to cover every emergency under the sun, it is something that will definitely help you and get you started and get you at least a bit covered. If there is something that happens that you need to cash flow a little bit from, or you need to kind of work out a payment plan with someone in order to cover the balance, maybe the following month or something like that, that's doable. But you have to at least give yourself a little bit of a cushion to be able to fall back on and not rely on debt. So the most important part of having your emergency fund is that while you're getting out of debt, you don't want to accumulate more debt. So if an emergency happens, you don't have an emergency fund, and say your tire does go out, you have to get that replaced. If you don't have that either saved as an emergency fund or written in as like a line item in your budget, you can't cash flow that, then you end up looking towards debt and accumulating more debt in the process, and that is not what we want at all. So you have to get your emergency fund squared away. If you know for a fact that it's not enough, the $1,000 for your family, go ahead and cushion a little bit higher. Say you have like an ongoing medical condition, or you know that your kids have, I don't know, like a certain medical condition or something else that is going on in your family. Say you're a family of 7 or something, and you know if an emergency happens, and you know if your kid ends up in the hospital, or whatever happens, that you know that you need at least a certain bottom line. Go ahead and save a little bit more. Don't go crazy. Baby step number 1 is really meant to allow you to have a little bit of a cushion, but also to encourage you to get out of debt so that you can start saving your bigger emergency fund later for more serious emergencies. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. I would love to know in the comment below if you've had to use your emergency fund. If so, what did you do? And how large of an emergency fund do you keep? Is $1,000 enough for your family? Do you do a little bit more? Do you do a lot more because of an extenuating circumstance? I would love to know in a comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you soon, and I hope you are having an amazing Monday.